now?
I'm the executive director for the Decatur Downtown Redevelopment Authority, which is also Main Street.
And I'm kind of curious, you mentioned the school
Yes.
business. Now, is the school located in downtown
It's
Decatur?
located right in the heart of downtown.
What was the formative factor? How did that come about?
Well,
I mean,
it came about, you had a program at Calhoun, which is in Decatur, but it's across the river, Calhoun Community College. And there's another satellite of it in Huntsville. And then Athens State, which is up in Athens, and that's about 20 minutes away. The Calhoun was, from our downtown, was 10 minutes to get out to Calhoun. They both had fine arts programs. One was freshman, sophomore, the other was junior, senior. Because Athens State's the only two-year school that's junior, senior, so it's interesting. So consequently, you know, a lot of people, and these were driven by both presidents of the schools that said, look, we can come together, we're going to combine our fine arts programs, both of them together into one fine arts entity that will be premier, and we will be able to grant a four-year baccalaureate degree in fine arts. And so that's kind of how it was structured. So the schools were involved, the city was involved, the county was involved, the city put in the property for it in the downtown. The city and the county came in and put monies into it. The rest of the funding came through it's owned by the state school board, obviously, like the rest of it is. And it was driven to focus on that. They're in the process now of, they finished the second phase. The first phase was, and we're talking about pretty extensive, beautiful buildings, you know, 40,000 square foot, one's a 40,000 square foot building. The other is about 30-something, so it's pretty good size operation, 2 to 3 floors on it, state of the art. The first phase was fixed, like painting, sculpting, computer, this type of stuff. And then the second phase was the performing arts, which would be dance, music, drama, that type of stuff. So that's what they were focused. So within that, there's two theaters in there, and it's a very impressive operation.
so what kind of economic impact did that have on downtown Decatur? Say, from maybe an estimate of pre-school,
Right.
and then after all this came into
Well,
effect?
economic development, of course, the way those are, it's not like there's a billion students that go in there. They're at different times, but you know how it is in that time frame. They might have classes, a lot of classes at night. They may have them on Tuesday, may have them on Saturday. So there's variations. So we have a certain amount of foot traffic that has come in. The other part is that they're having, they might have certain plays, they might have certain art exhibits, things like that bring in a certain amount of tourism that actually comes into it. The other part of it is that they work with some of our other community groups, like the theater that we've got, the Princess Theater. They're heavily involved in it. So consequently, you know, that's where the simple economic impact. The long-term economic impact we see is what they're looking to do is their next phase is to put a dean in place who will take that and then promote this school, not just for, you know, the immediate area, but even bringing in people from outside of the state. So it's a work in process right now, but it's an interesting concept.
In Fort Payne, have you identified how many buildings and structures in Fort Payne that can be converted into living units? Have y'all identified those?
Yes, we have it. We actually have an inventory of the buildings in our district, what we call our district, from 3rd up to 8th. That's where we exist. And so we do have an inventory of them.
How many do you have down there?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I don't really know, but you know.
Approximately.
We have,
It has a lot to do with how much money that the people that own the building want to put into it.
Right.
Because you talk about, you know, lead, asbestos,
Mhm.
sprinkler system, all those hoops you got to jump through to get that up and running, but
Any of the two-story buildings, and we don't have a huge amount of those, but I saw one downtown here coming in, that the upstairs is for rent, and I said to Tim, that'd be great for loft apartments.
And don't forget, open space, gap tooth and all that.
Yeah.
If you've got a building burned or something fell in and it's sitting out there and you've got an open space that's out there, we do some that we made a little pocket park, but the others, we had a big open area and came in and did cool looking buildings on the corner. One's a Mellow Mushroom, one's a Moe's Barbecue. And then there's an architect's office in the middle of that. So we really pushed those to build new build. This new development was on where there was an old building that finally dilapidated and caved in. So yeah, it's not just redoing buildings, but looking at open space that might be in there, open lots that just, over time had.
4 years, is that how long the Main Street, did I hear you say it's been in?
Well,
4
it
years?
was 2015, June of 2015.
Okay, so, how do you see, of course, you're actually probably in infancy right now, really.
We are, we're just
Yeah.
babies.
So from pre-Main Street to where you're at 3 years later,
It is amazing.
what do you see as the economic, how much is the economic impact? And what do you foresee for the future, say, another 3 years down the road, maybe even 6 years down the road? How do you see that affecting Fort Payne?
every building full.
Yeah, I see in 3 to 6 years, we won't have any empty buildings downtown. I just see
And
that.
people living downtown.
We will have, yeah.
We set goals, we set a goal, we'd like to see X number of units of residential units, we'd like to see X number of new businesses come into play, we'd like to see X amount of capital investment like we had talked about. So you kind of set some goals, and how do you start with those goals? It's just like, oh man, should I just throw a dart or whatever, but you kind of be realistic, but it does give you something to shoot for. And then you also have something to say, look, we met these goals, or in some cases exceeded.
We have yearly goals that we set, and, well, we have 5-year goals. And they do come in and help you with some of that as well. But we have 5-year goals, and then we have like yearly goals to get there. And we have 5, 10, I think 15. But so far, we're doing okay.
But
We're
the
pretty
first
much
of
in
March,
goals.
we had a live radio visions going on at the Coal and Iron Building. We had Art in the Alley. We were having a talent show at the DeCal Theater. Somebody was having something across the street in the old Coca-Cola building. There was people everywhere, and it was really, and that wasn't around 3 years ago, was it, Connie? I mean, that wasn't going on.
And we looked at our community, we looked at our community visioning that we did, because they said what they wanted downtown, and that's what we started working on first. We did our streetscape, we did our banners, and those are little things, but that got it started. And now we're looking at what kind of business they said they wanted downtown, so
Everybody
that we
wants
can
a brew
go
pub,
out
y'all.
and try to.
I mean, it is, that's, the reports come back, everybody wants to prove up.
No, I'm really kind of curious,
We're trying to recruit.
and I'm curious about Decatur too, what was your biggest conflict? I mean, sure, you like to think everything's gonna run just fine, everybody's gonna agree, but if you could pinpoint a conflict, either in people or ideas that would inhibit a program from occurring and going successful and overcoming that, what would be that conflict, and then what would you propose to overcome it?
Well, I'll say where it would go, and I think up front we did everything we could, is to make sure that you get people involved and make sure that they're educated and you listen to their plan and make sure that when you're doing it that everybody's aware of it. The one thing that we would do is when we did streetscape, you're down the center of 2nd Avenue, you've got all these businesses, you're tearing the sidewalks up, you're tearing the streets up, you've got all this construction. What we wound up doing was, okay, let's celebrate this. Let's make this fun. So what we wound up doing is we named it Dig Town. We elected a mayor once a month, and we put this stand-up figure of this mayor in one of the buildings downtown. You had to go over there, get your picture made by it. You do that, you put it in the raffle, you win $100. And we said, come down and see our construction. Come on, you know, so we celebrated the construction. And it was things like that. Otherwise, if you just torn it up and nobody was aware of it, yeah, you'd have a lot of conflict. So you try to anticipate what they are, and knowing full well that if people don't understand it, or they're not aware of it, or they're not part of it, then yeah, you know, they don't want surprises. You know, try to eliminate surprises. Yeah.
Give them a reason to be downtown.
Educate and communicate, I think.
Communication,
If you don't have
by
that
far,
communication,
yeah.
that's key between everybody that's involved.
So your commercial expansion downtown, did that come from entrepreneurs locally, or did that involve out-of-town investment coming in?
They're within the county actually, but most of
So
them.
I see that as a need, right, as an entrepreneurial community that's willing to make that investment, right?
Yeah, the guy that's bringing the music school in, he just retired from teaching school. He's already got it up and going, the music school, but Jeff Cook just gave him $10,000. But he wants to bring it downtown. And he's a Fort Payne guy, graduated from Fort Payne, taught at Fort Payne for 25 years, so he sees what's going on downtown, so he wants to be a part of that. Same as the guy that has got all the cars that he's brought in. Now, I don't think Eddie made any money he owns 3 steel plants, 2 in Georgia, 1 in Florida, but he loves Fort Payne so much he wants to put some of his money back into Fort Payne. And he's also looking at one of the most beautiful buildings in town. Right now he's got a contract on it, and he's going to do something above it and something in the bottom of it. And these start clicking along, then everybody's going to be down.
Well, we have an entrepreneurial center in Decatur, not part of downtown. It's kind of out a little bit from it, but what we did is partnered with them and say, look, if we've got somebody that wants to do a business, would you mentor them? So in other words, they're going to sit down with their mentoring board, which would be a banker, you know, an attorney, a business person that's going to help them do their business plan and put it into play. We're not doing that, but we have access, and we could offer that through a third party that we partnered with. We did a few things for them to help some of their promotion, and they in turn gave us this. So that helped focus on. I said, now we would, and these were people that are going to come downtown. So that's one of the things that we offered. You know, and that to me is critical as anything. The other thing is, when you talked about, you know, you had this parade and that parade, you don't want to, the way we looked at it is, we can't be everything to everybody. So we said what we'd like to see is a big event. We wanted to see a fine arts festival, a juried fine arts festival. And I said, we will help get it started, but it's going to have to be run by a separate board, and it'll have to have a life of its own. So you don't just say, I'm going to take on this event, I'm going to take on a third Friday, we're going to do this. You kind of facilitate it, get it going, but get the right people in play, and then let them run with it. And you just kind of say, okay, we get this in a collective fashion, because you spread yourself so thin, you won't really accomplish what you want to, and it won't be as effective.
Well, Third Saturday actually was started by some of our local merchants, and they manage all of that. We don't do that.
No, it is about community, and it takes the whole community.
And we just come down and support them, and we always have something going on that people can come and ask us questions. And we have an educational platform that we've partnered with the chamber called Success in 60, and so that's once a month, and it's the first Thursday of every month. And for $10, you can come have a nice meal, and you get you get a good workshop on something that entrepreneurs would be interested in.
Great networking tool.
Yeah, and it's good networking. But we also have JSU as a resource to do the same things
Small
that you're
business
doing with
development,
small
they come
business
in.
development. So,
When you got your market study back, once they came in and did that, what was your next step? Like, when you got that back, what did you do after that? Now you know what your community wants, so now what?
well, we started looking at it and forming goals on how we were going to meet the needs of what they wanted done. And so the first thing we did was look at what kind of businesses they wanted. And then we started thinking about how we would recruit those. or how we could encourage that. Next thing was, we did an educational platform for them, and so we just started looking down the list, what could we do? And we haven't gotten everything on the list, but we're working on it. It takes time, but we have set some goals to do that.
We took it and used it as a tool to the existing merchants. So in other words, they were given it. So-and-so may have this particular type of retail store of some type, and they look at that and they say, okay, well, we didn't realize the needs that we're seeing in this economic study says our market supports this particular product or this product or whatever. Kind of help them, get them a little bit of a profile on what the market is and where it's lacking and where it's oversupplied and things like that. And it was kind of a tool that helped a lot of the existing merchants to kind of fine tune their businesses too.
Absolutely.
Well, it's like Mary said, the head of Main Street, Alabama, don't try to be a champagne and caviar town if you're a
Right.
burger and beer town.
Well, we shared it with the merchants, and actually one of our merchants who sold shoes and jackets and things like that expanded their retail to include kayaks and tents and things that people said they wanted to, because we have State Park and Little River Canyon, and so the things that they wanted, they looked at that and they said, you know what, we don't carry that, but it would fit in very nicely with what we're already doing, and so they expanded.
See it, and then when you have some success, then they kind of get on board, they'll say, okay, yeah, this is great. So
Well,
yeah,
they
you're
start
absolutely
believing
right.
in you, or start believing in it, that it can be done. Because people get turned off and get discouraged many times, and so when they start seeing things being successful, they go like, you know what, this can work. So maybe I should try to help, because it's your town. I mean, so if you want it to work, you're gonna have to be a part of it.